When Chief Adeyemi died, the entire town of Ipetu shut down, not because he was loved, but because he was powerful. His compound stretched across 3 courtyards. Politicians came, pastors came, drummers played for 3 days straight. But inside the house, something was shifting. Tunde, the firstborn son, stood beside the caskets, receiving condolences. He wore white agbada, calm, composed. People whispered, "He already carries himself like a chief." They weren't wrong. For the last 5 years of his father's illness, Tunde had been the one signing documents, settling land disputes, paying hospital bills, quietly leading. The younger brother of the late chief, Uncle Moyega, watched everything. He smiled publicly, he calculated privately, because tradition in the Adeyemi lineage was clear. Leadership passes by blood, and only blood. 35 years earlier, a teenage girl named Morenike arrived at the back gate of the compound in labor. She was not married, she was not supposed to be there, but she carried the chief's child. He had loved her before. Politics demanded he married into a more influential family. The chief's wife, Funke, had learned of the pregnancy on her wedding night. Humiliation swallowed her, but scandal would destroy them all. So when Morenike died during childbirth, Funke made a decision no one expected. She held the baby and said, "He will not grow up fatherless." That night, they buried Morenike quietly and presented Tunde to the world as legitimate. Only 3 people knew the truth: Chief Adeyemi, Funke, and Iyabisi, the midwife. For years, Funke waited to have her own child. She never did. Tunde became the only heir, the only son, the only future. On the 3rd day after the funeral, Iyabisi sent a message. She was dying. Funke went to see her alone. The old woman's voice shook. "I will not enter the grave carrying another woman's son as someone else's blood." Funke froze. For 35 years, silence has been protection. Now silence felt like a weapon. "If you do not speak," the midwife continued, "God will judge you." Funke returned home trembling. Outside, drummers were already rehearsing for Tunde's installation ceremony. Inside, her heart was breaking. Uncle Boyega had been waiting for weakness. He noticed Funke's sudden distance. He heard whispers from an old servant who once worked near the maternity room decades ago. He began asking questions, quietly, dangerously. Because if Tunde was not blood, then Boyega, the younger brother, would become family head. And with that position came land authority, political influence, control of family businesses, power. And Boyega had always wanted power. Funke called a private meeting. Only core members, no elders yet. Her voice did not tremble when she spoke. "Tunde is not my biological son." The room shifted. Then she continued, "He is your father's son, but not mine." Shock. Boyega's eyes sharpened. But then came a second blow. "He was born before my marriage. His mother died. I chose to raise him." Tunde stood very still. His world did not shatter loudly. It cracked quietly. He looked at the woman who raised him and asked, "Did you ever regret choosing me?" That question silenced everyone. Funke wept for the first time since the funeral. Never! By morning, the secret has escaped. Servants talked, walls listened, villages breathed gossip. The installation ceremony was postponed. Elders demanded clarity. Boyega formally challenged Tunde's rights to lead. For generations, he said in council courtyard, leadership has followed legitimacy. That word landed like a slap. Legitimacy. As if love had none, as if 35 years meant nothing. The elders decided something unprecedented. Tunde would not be removed immediately. He would be tested for 30 days. The community would observe. Leadership will not be handed by blood. It will be proven by action. Gboyega laughed privately. He believed blood would win in the end. During those 30 days, land dispute threatened violence. Tunde resolved it peacefully. A widow faced eviction. Tunde paid her rent quietly. Flooding damaged farms. Tunde organized youths to rebuild boundaries. Meanwhile, Gboyega campaigned. He hosted dinners, made promises, spoke loudly about restoring tradition. But people remembered something. Tunde had been serving long before there was a contest. Under the ancient iroko tree, the elders gathered, drums silent, air heavy. The oldest elder spoke. Blood creates lineage, character creates legacy. He turned to Gboyega. You waited for power. Then to Tunde, you carried responsibility before it was offered. Then came the decision. Tradition would evolve. Tunde would lead. Not because of blood, but because of stewardship. Gboyega did not attend the installation. Funke watched her son receive the staff of authority. Not the son she birthed, the son she chose. And for the first time in 35 years, the truth no longer felt dangerous. It felt freeing. Because sometimes, the strongest families are not built by blood. They are built by decision. 2 nights after the elders chose Tunde as leader, Iyabisi died. Before she did, she sent for someone unexpected. Not Funke, not Tunde. She sent for Gboyega. When he arrived at her small mud house, she looked at him the way old women look at men who carry ghosts. You think you were clever, she said weakly. Gboyega's face did not move. I don't know what you mean. She coughed. You were there that night. Silence. And just like that, the story cracked open. The truth was not as simple as everyone believed. Morenike did not drown in shame. She did not collapse naturally in childbirth. She bled longer than she should have because help was delayed. Because someone sent the only available driver away that night. Because someone told the gatekeeper not to open the compound gate. And that someone was Gboyega. 35 years ago, he had already seen the danger. If Morenike's child lived and was acknowledged, it would secure the chief's direct bloodline forever. Gboyega would never inherit anything. So he interfered, not violently, not obviously, just enough to slow help, just enough to create tragedy. He did not plan her death, but he created the conditions for it. And when she died, he said nothing, because silence was profitable. Iyabisi had known. She had watched the delay. She had heard the gatekeeper argue. But Gboyega was young, ambitious, already close to political allies. She was just a midwife. And in the village, power silences truth easily. She carried the guilt for decades, not just about Tunde's identity, but about Morenike's death. That was the real reason she could not die peacefully. When Iyabisi told Gboyega she would reveal everything, he panicked. 35 years later, he hissed, what will that change? Her eyes were sharp even in weakness. It would change what you stole. Gboyega left angry. But he underestimated something. Old women do not call witnesses for nothing. The next morning, the gatekeeper's grandson came forward. He had found his grandfather's old diary. Inside was an entry from that night. I was ordered not to open the gate. I fear this will cost a life. Signed and dated. Gboyega's signature was mentioned. The council reconvened, not for leadership, for judgment. This time, the entire town gathered. Tunde stood frozen as the story unfolded, not just about his birth, but about the manipulation surrounding it. Gboyega denied everything. until the gatekeeper's grandson produced the diary. Silence fell like thunder. The eldest elder looked at Boyega long and hard. "You did not spill blood with your hands," he said, "but you moved the knife closer." That sentence ended him. Boyega was not imprisoned. Villages do not always punish with chains. They punish with exile of honor. He was stripped of family privileges, removed from council authority, cut off from land decisions. He did not lose his life, he lost his name. And in African culture, that is heavier. Everyone expected Tunde to celebrate. Instead, he did something unexpected. He visited Boyega privately. "I know what you did," Tunde said quietly. Boyega did not respond. "But if you had not interfered," Tunde continued, "maybe I would have grown up in another village. Maybe I would have never known this family." Boyega looked up for the first time. "You forgive me?" he asked bitterly. "No," Tunde replied. "I refuse to become you." And that difference defined his leadership. Funke later admitted something she had never said aloud. She always suspected Boyega, but she had no proof, so she protected Tunde by silence. She had chosen love once, now she chose truth. At his official installation, Tunde held the staff of authority firmly, not as a man who inherited power, but as a man who survived it. The crowd cheered, but this time, it wasn't tradition they were applauding. It was justice delayed, and a secret finally buried the right way.